get their quiz? Oh, high five. Yes. Okay, great. So now you can see that if you remember where you were sitting, it's easier for us to get them back to you, at least on the day after the quiz or test. Just sit where you were. And hopefully you're taking a look at this, a lot of text on the screen. When you get to the end, just put up a peace sign. Yeah. Does anybody else feel like this sometimes? Yeah. I think it's a common, you'll notice I didn't put who this is from. So whoever you are, I'm not going to single you out or anything like that. I just want you to know that you're not the only one who feels that way. Everybody feels that way at one time or another. I was going to do this activity later on in the semester, but then I was like, they're asking for it now, so why not do it now? Okay? We have had many specialists come to CSUN to share with us various study tools that work especially for general chemistry, because we know a lot of people don't pass general chemistry. We know that. It's holding up your major, it's holding up your future, it's holding up your money, income, career, and all that. And we don't want that to be the case. We want everyone to be successful. So the question is, how can I ace this class? Well, how many of you have ever heard of the term metacognition? One. Okay, good. That's what I'm going to show you about a little bit. So I put these hearts up here because, you know, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. I'm aware of that. If you have a hot date tonight, I'm happy for you. But I want you to also finish the homework, which is due tonight. Don't forget. Before you go out on that hot date. And I hope that everyone, every king and queen in this classroom is thinking about getting an A in this class. And that's totally doable. And I'm going to tell you how you can do it. So here's an example of an actual student. His name is Travis. On exam 1, he got a 47. Exam 2, he got a 52. And then someone came and gave you guys the secrets that I'm going to give you now. Gave this to Travis. He changed his study habits dramatically. And he ended up on exam 3 getting 82. And on the final, he got 86, best grade yet. And he ended up with a B in the class. So here's Dana. She was a physics student taking general chemistry. On her first exam, she got 80. The second exam, she got 50. And she was ready to change her major away from physics because she thought, I'm just not going to be able to hack it in college. She learned all these secrets that I'm going to share with you today. And on exam 3, she got 91. Exam 4, she got a 97. And she got a 90 on the final, and she got an A in the class. So now I want to ask you, what's the difference between studying and learning? Just throw out some ideas. Yes?
You can study the material, but it won't stick. If you learn the material, it becomes yours.
Yeah, so it's more like about ownership. That's a good one. Anybody else have another idea about what's the difference between studying and learning? I don't want this to be like only me talking. Yes?
Studying is like reading the material, but learning is actually applying it to whatever you're doing.
I like that. So one's about ownership, one's about application, being able to apply. Good. Any other ideas? Yes?
I'm assuming studying is when you study for an exam, but you end up learning the material afterwards, and learning is understanding it so you can use it forever.
I like that too. So that's talking about permanence. So studying may be just for a short-term gain, and learning is for a lifelong gain. So I like all of those ideas, and if you have any other ideas, that's good. You can put it in your notes maybe. Now, which one do you think would cause you to work harder? to make an A, to study in order to make an A on the test, or to study in order to teach the material to the class? Yeah, raise your hand if you think this would be harder, A. Raise your hand if you think B would be harder. Yes. Good. The difference between these two tasks, task A and task B, is the difference between studying and learning. So far in your college career, now it's the spring semester, so you've all had at least one semester in college, I'm assuming. Have you been so far in a study mode or a learn mode? Have you been ready to make an A on the test, or have you been ready to teach the class? Yeah. Okay. So what I want to say is, a key to acing Chem 101 is to maintain a learning mode, not simply a study mode. You want to work as hard as you would need to work in order to teach the material, but don't be just thinking of the short term, making an A on the test. And you might be thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. And I'm going to tell you, yes, it is. But it's totally worth it. And you may be saying, why do I need to change my study habits? If you did okay on the quiz, I'm totally happy for you. But trust me, we're going to start moving even faster. We're going to get out of the Chem 100 realm and into like totally new material, but the pace is going to be the same as we've been going. We have a lot of topics to cover here in Chapter 4. Some of them are totally new that were not covered in 100. The material is going to get more conceptual, more difficult, and more cumulative. The problems are going to get more involved. The tests are going to be not super straightforward. I don't know, how did you guys feel about this quiz? Did you feel it was very straightforward?
Yes.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say that. I thought it was interesting putting little references in there for you, just so that you can see. I took these references all from the current literature. And the test may end up being like that, because I get bored. And when I get bored, I get boring. And I don't want to bore you guys. I want chemistry to be as exciting as it is. So I take my inspiration from the current literature, what scientists are currently doing and how that can be understood using just general chemistry. Not just general chemistry, but general chemistry can do a lot for you. So I am going to be asking you to apply your knowledge, like you said. Very good. Now you may be thinking, I have no idea what you're talking about. So let's do an activity. Okay. Well, let me get my timing device out here because I'm going to time you guys. This is the activity. I'm going to show you something, and then you are going to try and count the vowels in this thing that I'm going to show you, and I'm only going to give you 45 seconds. Are you ready? Can everyone see? Okay, go. Counting vowels. Okay, stop. What did you get for the number of vowels?
48.
40. 50. Depends if you counted Y's or not.
But what if I asked you this now? How many words or phrases do you remember? A few? Okay. So I'm going to give you another chance to look at the words again. Now what I want you to do is look at the pattern. The big picture. Do you see a pattern? What is it? It increases by number. So dollar bill is there's how many dice when you roll? Tricycle has how many wheels? See the pattern? That's the big picture. Okay? Now I'm going to give you 45 seconds again and see if you can remember these phrases. Okay, now how many of the phrases or words can you remember? Almost all of them? Because you know the pattern now. So the major differences between the first attempt and the second attempt, the second time you knew what the task was, that the task was actually to remember the whole phrases, not just count the vowels. And the second point is you knew the pattern, and that allowed you to be more successful at the big picture task. So what does this have to do with the buzzword metacognition? And how can metacognition help you stay in learn mode regarding Chem 101 material? Metacognition is, some call it a brain outside of your brain. A big brain and a little brain. So the little brain is the one inside your head. Metacognition is, imagine if you had a big brain outside your head that was asking your little brain, how's the learning going? Is it going well? Is it not going well? So you want to be consciously aware of how you're growing in your ability to solve more complicated problems, and ask yourself, am I understanding this material, and accurately judge whether you are or are not understanding the material. I like to show this slide, and it helps me because it's telling you about, if you just come to class and you think you can get everything you need by listening to me drone on and draw pictures and stuff, it's going to be it's not going to go well. I mean, at best case, you'll remember half. Okay? But if you are engaging in active learning, and what it says under here, if you can't read it because it's kind of like purple on blue, blue on black, is if you're making the presentation, if you're being able to teach the material, you're going to be able to remember a lot more of it. And this is something that I have that I want to give you guys. Bloom's taxonomy. How many of you have ever heard of Bloom's taxonomy before? Some, if you're studying like family and consumer science, or if you are studying learning, like education or something like that, you may have heard of this before. How many of you have ever practiced yoga, for example? Okay, I started practicing yoga at the YMCA, and the thing I think that's interesting about this figure is they have this concept of chakras, and that all of your chakras have to be in alignment for you to get enlightenment. And the lowest one is the root chakra, right? That's the most basic thing. Basically, everyone has to go to the bathroom, right? You can't live if your human waste is just building up inside your body. So the most basic thing that you can do is use the restroom, okay? And that's like remembering, okay? That's so simple. You just memorize some things and that's it. Garbage goes in, garbage comes out. That's all. That's all remembering or memorizing really is. That's why I don't want you guys to focus too much on just memorizing stuff, because that's not going to be enough for this class. Okay? More of a gut instinct. Notice how this is lining up with kind of like the gut area, like when people say, I made that decision, I'm just going to go with my gut. So what I want you to do is come to a level of understanding so that you can have just that instinct and just say, like, this seems wrong, this seems right, and then go with your gut. That's a matter of understanding. When you get to the level of being able to apply your knowledge, that's when you're going to do well on the exam. Because the exam is going to throw problems at you that you've never seen before. Because they're going to come from my brain, the current literature, whatever's going on in the news. It's going to be something new. It's not from your book, it's not from the homework, it's not from the worksheets, it's not from the PowerPoints. It's totally new. And I'm just going to see how you respond to that. So you're going to need to be able to apply these basic knowledges to a higher level. I may have you analyze. It's going to be a little, it's going to be interesting, I'm not sure, about getting to those levels there. Sometimes the professors that teach like the upper division classes, they say, oh, well, we have to save something for like, you know, when they're in the 300 or 400 level classes. But still, I might have you tell me, how do these parts of this chapter relate to these parts of this chapter? How is this prior knowledge relating to what you're doing now? And I may have you evaluate your own work. I mean, that's important for you to always evaluate your own work. And finally, when you really have reached some enlightened state, you'll be able to organize things in terms of patterns. You'll be able to plan for yourself and make new pathways in your brain. So this is kind of I put this picture on here just because I like the color of it, and I like the way that it kind of builds up from a very basic level to a high level, and that's what Bloom's taxonomy is. Now, the question is, what did you need to do in order to get decent grades in high school? At what level of Bloom's taxonomy did you need to operate at?
Remembering.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have a different experience in high school? Mainly just recall. And what? Applying? A little bit of applying? Yeah. So that's the thing that we hear from a lot of students, is that if you are in this area here, you're going to do fine in high school. What do you think we expect of you in order to make A's in your college classes?
5s and 6s.
Maybe to graduate. I mean, we're hoping you get to enlightenment, you know, by the time you get to graduation. But at least, I'm gonna at least require like more of like this area here. If you just do 1s and 2s, or just only 1, yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough for you. I mean, you basically will not get an A in this class unless you're willing to get to a higher Bloom's level. Now you may be saying, Professor, how do I do that? How do I get higher on Bloom's taxonomy? And look what I have for you. And don't say you never got a Valentine from me. Because I did this because I love you, and I care about you, and I want you to do great. Okay? So this is what we have. This is my Valentine for you, the study cycle. And remember, somebody asked me for this. This is not all just coming from me, although the university does want you guys to start getting better grades in these classes. So they're bringing in specialists to help you. And this is what they gave us to give to you. So this is what's called the study cycle. These are the things that you can do to get to a higher Bloom's level. Okay? What you're going to do is, before class, you're going to skim the chapter. You're going to note the chapter headings like I've done here. You're going to look at all the bold-faced words and maybe write a little definition of the words. And you're going to review the objectives. And then, most importantly, you're going to think about what burning questions are in your mind that this chapter can answer for you. So this chapter is going to tell us about stoichiometry. This chapter is going to tell us about solubility. It's going to talk about molarity, dilutions. And hopefully you have some burning questions in your mind from the discussion activities, because you've noticed the discussion is working a little ahead of the lecture, right? We already did some of this stuff in discussion. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so that's your preview step. You're going to brainstorm questions that the lecture can answer. Then you come to class and ask me stuff. If I'm just going at my own pace, I don't know if I'm serving you well or not. I could be just talking to the camera for YouTube and videos that no one's going to watch. That's fine. I'm still going to get paid though. Because I already have my bachelor's degree, master's and PhD. I'm set. I don't have to go to school anymore. But you do. Then after class, please fill in any gaps in your notes. You know that the slides are on Moodle. And then the study part. Now, the study part, you can use this little thing down here at the bottom, which is called intense study sessions. Now, these do not have to take forever. I don't want you to think, oh, God, I have to study for like 5 hours. That is not going to be effective, actually. What we want you to do is be effective in a shorter amount of time, but more effective. So what you're going to do is set a goal for yourself. Then you're going to maybe draw a concept map, reread or fill in your notes, or come up with these questions like we talked about. Then you're going to take a break, maybe have a little snack, and then you're going to review what you just did. So that doesn't need to take forever, but that's what your study session is. But you're going to do that 3 to 5 times per day. So make a goal, work on something, then take a break, then review. That's one session. You could repeat that 3 times in a row if you want to with your nice little break. You can do like some yoga, you know, stretch it out, breathe, get some oxygen to the higher parts of your brain. That way your studying will be more effective. And it does say here, please try to reread your notes over the weekend. At least it helps connect everything, and then you don't have as much forgetting time. And then last but not least, use your big brain outside your little brain. Do the metacognitive, asking yourself, is what I'm doing working? Is it actually working? And could I teach this to someone else with how I'm learning it now? Okay, so this is the study cycle. This is called the study cycle, and it's been used many places with big success. What I've been kind of nagging you guys about is guessing on the mastering questions. What you want to be able to do is solve a problem without looking at the answer. Solve a problem without looking at the solution. And if you have to memorize something, just do it. Just buck up and do it. And if you have a curious, inquisitive mind, it's going to help you a lot, because it's going to create holes in your mind that the knowledge that you're pouring in there will fill. And if you have a friend, roommate, or a pet, or a stuffed animal, or a plant, you can do a mini lecture to that person, place, or thing. And I really encourage you to do that, because it's like I told you guys, you have to be able to walk the walk, talk the talk, and chalk the chalk. It's not enough just to sit quietly working problems. Sometimes you've got to stand up, you've got to act it out, and you've got to do it big. Do it on the board, or teach it to a friend. And that can really take you to a higher level of blooms, and it will help the knowledge stick better. Yeah, aim for 100%. Now, let's go back to our tale of 2 students. Remember, I started off with a king and a queen, and we talked about Travis and Dana. So Travis met with a learning consultant, and the learning consultant identified that he was just having trouble remembering what he had read. And the learning consultant gave him this study cycle, and he followed it, okay? What he was not doing is kind of like looking at the big picture. Remember how we did that exercise with the vowels? So if you're just looking for the vowels, you're missing the big picture. Okay, so previewing before reading gives you that big picture, big task perspective, and then when you develop questions also, that makes your reading stick better. So if you're thinking, what can this chapter answer for me? What will I be able to do with it? Then what's the point of it? Then when you read it, it's going to stick better. And then the other thing that you can do is active reading. So not just highlighting the book, but paraphrasing, paragraph by paragraph, what the words are, and that takes you to a higher level of Bloom's. So when he did that, that's what made the difference for him. And he went from definitely an F to definitely a B. Would you like that? That was you?
Definitely an A.
Definitely. Okay, well let's look at what Dana's problem was, because she's the one that ended up with an A. Her problem was that she was memorizing formulas, which we've already said is at the lowest level of Bloom's. And then she was going to online solutions to help her get through the homework. Kind of just Googling it. Okay. Now, what she ended up doing to change her tune is she specifically would work the problem not looking at any solution or anything else. Struggle with it, try to come up with your own way of solving it, and then move on. Don't worry about the answer. Like, get to where you feel confident in your answer, and then move on. And then that's what helped her. Now, everyone's problem is not going to be identical. So here's another email from a student. This was not my student. This was someone else's student. The student emailed so late in like April and said, oh, I'm just not good at chemistry. My grade is like suffering. And can you help me? Just reaching out for help. This person had gotten a 68 on exam 1 and a 50 on exam 2. Then they had this intervention. They started using the study cycle, and they ended up getting an 87 on exam 3 and 97 on the final. And she ended up going from D to an A. And this is what made the difference for this person. What I did differently was to make notes in each chapter as I progressed into the next chapter. So really using the book, but paraphrasing it. Taking ownership, what someone said. That then you own the knowledge, not the book. And this person finished out with a 3.8 GPA that semester. Because if you really internalize the study cycle and you start using it in chemistry, you're going to use it in your other classes too. And it's going to trickle out into success overall, broadly. And that's what we want. I don't know how many of you have started chapter 3 homework, or if you're already finished with it, that's great. But if you haven't even started it yet, I encourage you to get going on that a little bit sooner. And if a problem really gets you stuck, don't give up too soon. Spend like at least a quarter of an hour on a problem if it's really got you stuck. But then don't spend too much time. So don't spend over half an hour on one problem that's a difficult problem. Good. Okay, here's another activity. Ready? What word comes to mind when you see C blank T? Cat. Okay, so everyone thought of something, right? Most people said cat, some people said cut. What if you lived in a world there was no cats and you never seen the word before? How many of you know what this means? TXT, MSG. Text message. So your brain is automatically filling in the vowels there because you know what that is. But when you're studying chemistry, do you already know it? Do you believe your brain has enough intuition to fill in the gaps of what we do in class? Will the test be written from what your brain or what my brain sees in the notes? Mine, right? So what is it that you have at your disposal that would help you fill in the gaps, like C_T. What could help you?
Your notes.
Look at the title of the slide.
Textbook.
The book. So a lot of studies have shown students who use the book do better. Students who just do the homework do as bad as those who don't work on anything at all. Did you hear me? So here's group A, they don't study at all. Here's group B, they study from the book. Here's group C, they just do the mastering homework. Group A and C do the same in the class. Group B does better significantly. Those are people who use the book. And what would you use the book for? To fill in the gaps. I am not able to cover everything. We do not have time. So here's another little activity for you. Read this paragraph. What is it? What is it about? It's just random poetry?
No, it's about venturing out of Europe and
Yes,
finding.
which is what you're going to do in chemistry. Anybody else have an idea what this is about? What clues might help you? An egg, not a table?
Earth is round, not flat.
Yes. How about, there's 3 sturdy sisters?
3 boats.
Yes. And welcome winged creatures appeared
Eagles,
when they reached
birds, eagles.
land. So this is about the first voyage of Christopher Columbus. This is like a scientific article about effects of comprehension on retention. So if you knew that this was about Christopher Columbus from the outset, wouldn't it have made more sense? This is why you need to preview before you read. Preview before you come to class. Then it will make more sense once you have the big picture in your mind. Right? Now it's not as much gibberish. All you needed to know was Christopher Columbus. That's it. So this, I just put this here in the slides. These are the SQ5R strategy for reading. We already said this. You're going to survey first and question. Then if you read one paragraph at a time, maybe annotate to yourself, read and write. And then make sure it's in your own words. And then reflect. What am I still confused about after reading this? Do you think this would take more time or less time than what you're doing now? Who thinks more? Who thinks less?
I think it balances.
Yeah, so this technique has been used by law students. In particular, they have to read a lot. Medical, how many of you are thinking about going on to medical school? Few, or other professional schools. So the reason why this in the end saves you time, even though it seems like more effort, is because you comprehend more, you retain more, and you don't have to go back and keep rereading, and just not remembering anything. Because I know that's how I feel when I'm trying to read something and I'm sleepy and I don't feel like doing it. I end up reading the same sentence 3 times and don't remember anything. But if I totally had to figure this out on my own. No one ever taught me this until I got to grad school and I started failing mad tests. And undergrad was easy for me. But grad school got harder, it just took it to that next level. And I didn't have this skill. So that's what I found this on my own. I would make 1 sentence for each paragraph in my own words. And 1 sentence for each picture as well. What's that picture about? Why is it there? And then I started passing tests, and it's not a joke. It's amazing, actually. Now, the last Valentine that I have for you is this blue piece of paper. And if you've had me in another class before, you might have seen this already, so I apologize. This is something that I use a lot with my students. How many of you have heard of this, a concept map before? A few? Yes, former students of mine have heard of it. Okay, but this is not something that I invented. I don't know how I learned about it. At some point I must have. But it works for me because I'm like more of a picture person than an outline person. Sometimes the outline is just too rigid for me. And I'm just like, oh, I can't see the big picture when I have an outline, because sometimes if it goes on to the next page, I can't see what the first bullet point was, and then I get confused. So the great thing about a concept map is that you put the main idea in the middle, and then the other branches can branch out all around in a 360 degrees. So that way the main idea is always dead center. In this case, it's still kind of going from top to bottom, but feel free to spread it out more. And this is something that I made for myself when I was teaching a class that I was unprepared to teach. It was a physical sciences, intro to the physical sciences. So I had to teach physics, geology, chemistry, and physics. But I'm only a chemist. So I was teaching stuff I really didn't know that well. So I had to go and teach myself the stuff first, then teach it to them. And so this was something that I did. I made this worksheet just for myself to keep track of what the heck I was doing in the class. And you can use it too. So your this concept map would go in the blank space right here in the middle. Then you would write some terminology, you would reflect a little bit, you would try and tie the ideas from one chapter to another, and then the bottom part here could either be stuff you have to memorize or do a little sample problem. And then you have the whole chapter just boom on one page. And everyone's is going to look different probably. There's another tactic here that's about comparing and contrasting. And comparing and contrasting, remember, was much higher on Bloom's. Comparing and contrasting was at least in the 4 or 5 area of Bloom's. So you're welcome to do that, or maybe you could do that on the back. How many of you have visited the tutoring center? Few? Oh, great. That's great. So I think I updated at least the Smart Lab schedule on Moodle. I have the tutoring schedule for 2308. That's in this building, the chemistry help room here. Now, it is important that you try to take ownership of the material. Try to study it yourself first. Then come to your study group or the tutoring center and have your questions ready. And also, don't be afraid to just say to the tutor, do you mind if I explain this to you and then let me know if I'm getting it? Practice teaching it to someone else that already knows it, and then they can let you know if that's accurate or what other gaps you need to work on filling in. And you can come to my office hours for this as well. I'm happy to see you guys. If you don't know where the Learning Resource Center is, it's on the 3rd floor of the Oviatt Library. You go up the elevator, for example, and then you go to the right, and you go kind of a long way down until the end of the building. And they have a writing center there. They have a math and science tutoring center there. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. I think I told you about that on day 1. But we're really lucky that we have that here at CSUN. This is a link for you to download a study group starter kit. It kind of gives you some ground rules for a study group if you prefer a more of a formal structure. My study groups in school were just the people in my dorm. But if you don't live in the dorms, you might want to, get together with other people that commute. And that's why I mix you guys up in different groups all the time in discussion. so that you have a probability of meeting at least 1 or 2 other people that maybe live near you or maybe have your similar schedule. They're on campus at the same time you're on campus. Maybe you think the same way or you work really well together. This is a PDF that it involves the study cycle, but it also tells you how to apply that to teamwork and team studying. So as we're wrapping up here, another aspect of learning, staying in learn mode, is to encourage yourself to adopt a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. Individuals that face challenges and embrace those challenges, that's called a growth mindset. It's like, hey, I might fail, but you know what? I'm going to try it anyways. People that avoid challenges are just in a fixed mindset. When you face resistance and you don't give up, that's a growth mindset. When you have to work hard for something and you don't shy away from that, that's a growth mindset. When you get your quiz back and there's a little note on there with something from me to you saying, hey, it seems like you don't understand this. It's not that I'm criticizing you, and you definitely shouldn't ignore that. You should say, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I don't really understand that, or not the level that Dr. Kaiser is expecting from me. And the good thing is, when you're in a growth mindset, you're inspired by the success of others. It's not like, oh, she did so good, I hate her guts. You know, you don't need to be threatened by other people that are doing well. You can work together with that person, like say, what is she doing that I'm not doing, and I can figure out maybe if that would work for me or not. So my challenge to you is to work on some of this study cycle tactics between now and a week and a half from now when the first exam is coming. And as I said, I was going to wait until after the first exam to give you all these wonderful Valentines, but someone asked for it. So that means maybe more than one of you is wondering that same thing. And I know that this can help you. I know for sure it can help you, because it helped me, definitely. The SQ5R reading technique definitely helped me. And there's a lot of data that supports this. So just think about if you don't try this within the next 48 hours, you probably it won't sink in. So I encourage you to put it into practice immediately, if not for finishing the chapter 3 homework, but also like thinking about chapter 4, what's coming. Okay. So that's all the metacognition slides that I wanted to share with you.